So I'm Andrew Bolwell with HP, and I'm a futurist in HP's printing and personal systems unit, which is actually a pretty cool job. I quite like it. I get to be part mad scientist, part serial entrepreneur, and very much involved in working on things that are new to HP and new to world, which I'm extremely passionate about. And so today what I'd like to talk with you about is a little bit about our vision of the future, which we call blended reality. And I'd also obviously like to talk to you about mobility, because we really believe mobility is going to have a transformative effect on business and really redefine how we all work. Now, when we start looking at the future, we need to also understand what's happening in the world around us. And so part of that is looking out and understanding what's going on. Over the next 10 years, we'll have 8 billion people in the world. We've got wealth moving into developing economies and giving people opportunities that they haven't had before. In developed economies, though, we've got an aging population. It's putting a lot of stress on healthcare, which is both a challenge and an opportunity. And in the workplace, we've got a younger demographic coming in. Over the next 10 years, nearly half the working population will be under the age of 35, and that's going to also create a huge difference. So change really is the only constant. And the other thing that's really changing all around us, is, I'm sure you're all aware, is technology. So just to give you a glimpse into how we see the future evolving, I'd just like to play a quick video.
Running down the street like your hair's on fire, thoughts running fast like a man on a wire. Can't stop laughing but I don't know why. Don't know why, nobody knows why. Shouldn't wait for the weather to change. Every day from here on I got the top down strap on your shoulder, running down you like an ice cream cone. We're not alone, never gonna be alone. Can't help but feel alright. Run through the day till the end of the night. The sun keeps coming up in your blue eyes. These are the best days of our lives. Mind exciting, what's your meaning? Don't understand, but the sea is in me. Music so loud and it keeps repeating. Never gonna go home. Can't help but feel alright. Run through the day till the end of the night. The sun keeps coming up in your blue eyes. These are the best days of our lives. Best days of our lives. Best days of our lives. Can't help but feel alright. Run through the day till the end of the night. The sun keeps coming up in your blue eyes. Never gonna be alone. Can't help but feel alright. Run through the day till the end of the night, and the sun keeps coming up in your blue eyes. These are the best days of our lives. Best days of our lives. Best days of our lives.
You know, what I really like about that video is that it doesn't paint the future like a science fiction movie. In fact, the future will look very much like it does today, except as Kevin mentioned earlier, we don't want more technology for technology's sake. We need technology to work for us. We need technology just to give us better experiences. And there's a couple of ways I think technology can do that. The first is that it can help automate the mundane and the routine out of our lives and help give us back time, because that really is the one thing we can't create more of. But then I also think it needs to help us express ourselves as human beings, to be more creative, to be more productive, to enhance our human skills and abilities. And I think the other thing that maybe you saw in that video, but you're probably also experiencing, is that our physical and digital worlds are becoming more and more intertwined. They're becoming more overlapped. The line between our physical and digital worlds is blurring. And at HP, we call that blended reality. The fusing of our physical and digital worlds to create new experiences for us, whether that's at work, at home, or on the go. And I think mobility is a great example of this. Mobile devices connect us to the digital world. They help us share information into the digital world. And more than ever, they're built and loaded up with sensors now that help sense the world around us and move all of that information into the digital world as well. And all of that information can then be stored, can be transmitted, it can be analyzed, and we can derive insights from all of that data. And we can use it then to create new experiences for us back in the physical world, connecting us with friends and family, insights to help improve our health, information that helps us be more productive. So mobility is a really great example of blended reality. And at HP, we see a number of technology shifts that are actually pushing us towards that vision of blended reality. I mentioned mobility. I mean, more than 5 billion people in the world today now use a mobile phone. The interesting thing for me is that only 4 billion people actually use a toothbrush. So that means there's probably 1 billion people out there on the phone with really bad teeth. But mobile technologies now become wearable. I'm sure many of you have a wearable. And wearables are becoming, commercial wearables are coming into the market now. But technology is also becoming small enough and powerful enough that it can now be embedded in the everyday objects and devices around us. And that's driving something that we call the Internet of Things, where everything becomes online and connected. And then what happens when all of those intelligent things around us sprout wheels and grow legs or wings? We get robotics or smart machines. Maybe robots that clean our floors, or self-driving cars, or commercial drones. And all of these new devices and technology form factors, they're all going to need a different software to run them. Software that's more intelligent, that anticipates our needs. Technology that offers up information and services based on when and where we need it, based on our context, our location, other things about it. And we call that contextual computing. And of course, how we interact with technology is changing. It's becoming more immersive. We're all very used to touching our technology today, but more and more we're seeing the ability to talk to it, to use gestures to control it. In the future, maybe even to think into it. So if we look at mobility a little more, not surprising to me that we now look at our mobile screens for longer than we look at TV. We're using mobility for everything today. And in many cases, we're using it first on mobile. 1.3 billion workers in the world are now mobile. mean they need to be mobile or travel to do their work. It's over a third of the workforce. People with mobile devices and that use them for work are more productive. They actually put in a lot more hours. I think we're probably all aware of that. We're always sneaking a little bit more work on our mobile devices. But you'd be surprised to know that's 6 weeks a year extra time you spend working through mobile devices. But mobility is also helping industries save costs. The medical industry, for example, just this year saved nearly $300 billion using mobility for remote health monitoring to make it more cost-effective to treat patients. In short, mobility really is defining how we work. And for me, mobile today looks a lot like the internet did back in the late 90s. I mean, think back then, the internet had been around for 5 to 7 years as consumers. We were starting to use browsers. The internet changed our behavior, but it wasn't until consumers had used that technology for quite a while that businesses start to adopt the internet to transform their business and their workflows. Now, fast forward to today. We've been using mobile devices for the last 5 to 7 years as consumers. And in the same way that we saw this happen with the internet, we're starting to see businesses now figuring out how they can use mobility to transform their workflows, to redefine how they do business. And for me, this is a lot more than just selecting a device to use. It's so much more than the device. That's very important. But it's stepping back and it's looking at how we work today without all of the constraints of the past, without having the constraints of paper-based systems or needing to be in a fixed location or not having ubiquitous access to connectivity or access to information. All of these are constraints that mobility has removed. So we get to sit back and redefine how our businesses should operate without those constraints in place. So for example, in the retail space, we all have this experience. We might walk into a store and we're looking for a certain piece of clothing or a product and it's not available. It's not on the shelf, so we grab a salesperson. We ask, do you have my size or do you have this color? And that salesperson runs off out the back to go and check whether it's in stock or not. Spend all their time doing that instead of helping people out. And then you finally find what you're looking for and you end up in a really long queue at a checkout. Now think about how mobile technology can change that experience. As a shopper, for example, maybe you now have information about all of the products available for sale. You don't need to ask the salesperson information. You can access all that information through your mobile device. And the salesperson, they have that information at their fingertips as well, but maybe more importantly, their mobile device is equipped with a point of sale. So then when they're helping a customer with something, they can then check them out. They can take their purchase there and then. No need for a traditional checkout anymore because of mobility. And if you look a little bit further out and you let your imagination run wild a little bit, what about a mirror that you stand in front of and you can virtually try on anything in the store? Different styles, different colors. With a flick of the wrist, you can try something new. Or a virtual shopping assistant that knows what's in your wardrobe. It knows what style of fashion is vogue. It knows the season. It knows what you like and it can recommend things that you might like. And when you find something you like, you just walk out of the store with it. You don't need to check out. You don't need to transact. You walk out of the store and everything you take with you is automatically put on your credit card. These are workflows that will soon be possible. And so how do we enable all of this? The first thing we need to do is we need to look at purpose-built devices. This is not a one-size-fits-all world anymore. You need ruggedized devices for field workers. You need devices in the hospital and health industry that, for example, have antimicrobial protection that are easy to clean, that have 2D barcodes with them. In the retail space, like I mentioned, having point of sale attachments, having hand straps and shoulder straps so that people can easily carry them around with them. So purpose-built devices become important. Contextual platforms become important. I mentioned this earlier. This is how we get the right information to the right person at the right time based on what they need. Context becomes critical. And last but not least, experience should become the center of how you redefine your workflows. The experience of technology, the experience that someone has when working is extremely important. It can't be ignored. It can't be left to the end of the process. You have to design with experience in mind. And these are all things, obviously, that HP is focusing on, and you can learn more later today about each of these areas. But if there's one image that I want to leave you with, it's this one. Do you remember what it was like to be young? Okay, it wasn't that long ago for many of you. But when you were young, you believed everything was possible. If someone asked you, what do you want to be when you grew up? You might answer, I want to be a doctor or a nurse or an astronaut or a fireman, whatever it might be. You believed that you could. You didn't ask how you were going to do that. As a child, you just believed that you could. And I think as adults today, we sometimes forget that. But we are surrounded with technology and possibility today. It's no longer a question of how we do things, but what we need to do. What should we do? And the coolest thing for me is that the future hasn't happened yet. We all get to create it. Everyone in this room gets to create the future. So I really look forward to seeing how all of us here, can create the most compelling future possible together. Thank you.